In this video, I'm going to give you a complete beginner guide on Claude skills. And specifically, I'm going to talk about why we should use Claude skills, what are the 3 reasons why we should use it right now, and also I'm going to talk about how Claude skills work behind the scene, how does it work with sub-agents, MCP servers, and also the overall agent workflow. And lastly, I'm going to show you my top 4 Claude skills that actually 10x my productivity when I use Claude every single day. So by the end of this video, you will become a Claude skill master, not only know why to use it and when to use it, but also know how you can use it to 10x your productivity with Claude. So with that being said, if you're interested, let's get into it. All right, so before we jump in, a quick intro for those who are new here. My name is Eric, and I have spent years as a senior software engineer at companies like Amazon, AWS, and Microsoft. And I have started this YouTube channel to share everything I have learned along the way, from AI encoding to automations, Web3, career developments, and more, all broken down into practical tutorials that you can actually follow. So if you're ready to level up, make sure to check out my YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. Now let's get back to the video. All right, so now what I want to talk about is what's the reason why we should use Claude skill. And the first reason why we should use it is because it's really good at doing specific and repeatable tasks. Let's say we have a Claude skill here, help us design a nice front end, right? The first time, the process is going to be very painful because you have to tell Claude exactly what kind of style, what kind of color, what kind of typography is going to use to create a nice, perfect front end that you imagine, right? And after that process is done, you can be able to have Claude here to create a Claude skill so that you can be able to reuse it. So the next time when you give it a prompt saying that, help me to design a nice front end, then Claude will know exactly what kind of style, what kind of typographies, what kind of UI design is count as nice front end. So the process here is much more smooth and the AI here won't hallucinate so much because Claude skills will tell AI exactly how to create those things. And the second reason why we should use Claude skill is that it also helps you to save context. Because before, when we don't have Claude skills, we will have to use Claude rules, which is kind of like a system prompts that we pass to Claude every time we talk to Claude, right? But the problem with Claude rules is that every time when you talk to Claude, you have to pass all the Claude rules or all the system prompts to Claude agent here to basically give you the response. But the thing is that not all the rules are relevant to what you're asking for. And that's why Claude skill is really different, is because now Claude will automatically pick the right skill to the request that you're asking for, right? So let's say you're trying to design a nice front end, then basically Claude will find the right skills, or maybe like a front end skill, or maybe like a UX UI skill that will basically help you to complete the task that's relevant to what you're asking for. Okay, so that will help you to save so much context during the process of using Claude. And the last reason why we should use Claude skill is that it's also really easy to share, right? You can think of Claude skill as like an AI SOP, where it basically creates a SOP to guide the AI on how to exactly do things, right? And what you can do is that you can basically have this Claude skill to export it in a zip file so that you can share with other people, right? Share this with other employers or coworkers. And what you can do is that you can also create multiple sub-agents, and each sub-agents here can have a shared same Claude skills that's being created earlier that you have in your projects. So it's much more easier for you to share, right? And also much more easier to save context and also help you to automate a specific and reusable task. So those are the 3 main reasons why we should use Claude skills to basically improve our productivity for every time we're using Claude. All right, so now you know why we should use Claude skills. So now let's take a look at how it works behind the scene. So right here, you can see that we have our agent configurations, right? This is gonna be our Claude agents. And basically inside of our configurations, we have 3 main parts. One is our core system prompts, right? Like what I mentioned before, like our Claude rules, static system prompts that will be sent to every conversation that we can have with Claude. And then we also have our equipped skills. So these are skills that we can add later on. For example, we can add a skill particularly that can handle PDF, that can handle Excel sheets, that can handle like a PPTX or like PowerPoints, right? So this is our equipped skills for our Claude. And we also have our equipped MCP servers. So MCP servers, if you don't know what it is, you can check out this video right here, which I'll make exactly how MCP server work. But basically, you can think of MCP like a list of tools that AI agent here can call. For example, it can be able to, search data on the web. It can be able to call like an API to fetch data from like your database or like GitHub, create a pull request on your behalf. So those are MCP servers, right? So these are the 3 main key components of our agent configurations. And what happens here is that for every agent here, it has a agent virtual machine. And this virtual machine here has access to like bash commands, has access to Python, Node.js, any type of language, right? And then we also have our file system. And what this file system does here is that basically contains the list of contents for the skill directories. So all the skills that you create, that you add, will be live in here inside of this file system. In each skill here, we have the skill.md file, which is basically the description of what the skill look like, right? And then we also could have like data sources. We also could have like Python scripts. So after the skill is being triggered by Claude, it will basically execute the script to basically get information that we need to guide the AI on the right track. So in this case, to put it in practice, here you can see that we have a situation where a user asks you to fill this PDF form based on what you know about me, and here is the location on where the file is. So Claude will basically think about it and try to see, okay, what kind of skill we're going to use, right? So you can see that it's going to be PDF, so it's going to use the PDF skill. Claude automatically identify which skill related to our query, be able to call the right skills and call the right tools to basically complete the user request. All right, so now you know how it works and why we should use it. Let me show you 4 Claude skills that will boost your productivity whenever you're using Claude. But before I show you the first Claude code skill that I personally use, one thing to note here is that you can see I opened a project called bookkeeping applications. In this project, I basically built this using Nest.js, and you can check out the full tutorial on how did I build these applications using this 5 MCP servers that I show you in this video right here. But moreover, basically what this application does is that it's a bookkeeping application that keeps track of your receipts, your bank statements, and later you can be able to use that to prepare your tax and file it, right? So right here, you can see this is a landing page. We have all the features here. And here we can also be able to log in to our application. This is our dashboard. We can also match our transactions. And also this is where we upload our bank statements. And also this is where we upload our receipts and keep track of them inside of our tables. So what I want to do now is basically try to introduce you the first Claude skill that I use, which is the front-end design skill from Claude Code. And what it can do is that it will basically create a production-grade front-end interface with high-quality design. So based on what your application does, it will first try to understand the applications, and then it try to create a design that's best fit for your application. And just to keep in mind that this is what it looks like right now for our applications. And if I were to navigate to our landing page, this is what it looks like right now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to follow this guide right here to basically install the marketplace from our Claude Code, and then I'm going to install this plugin right here, which is the front-end design. And I'm just going to tell Claude Code here to redesign our entire front end. So in this case, let's take a look at how it works. So right here, I'm just going to copy this command right here, navigate back to my Claude Code session, and I'm just going to run this, basically try to install the Claude Code plugins inside of our marketplace. Because I already have this installed, I'm just going to use the /plugin right now. So if I were to do the /plugin, right? And here you can see I have my marketplace right here, which you can see that we have Claude Code plugins installed. So now what we're gonna do now is try to install the front-end design skill. So right here, I'm just gonna copy this command, but because I already have this installed on my local machine, if I were to navigate to installed, you can see that I have this one installed. But for yourself, you're probably just gonna run this again inside of your Claude Code session. So what we're gonna do now is basically try to instruct Claude Code here to, use the front-end design skill to redesign our application. And because I already have done so, here you can see that after I have using the Claude Code session here instructed, Claude Code uses the front-end design skill, basically redesign the entire application for this front end. And you can see this is what it looks like. So right here, you can see it gives me a complete redesign of our landing page. And it used to be using the blue, now it's using the green, okay? So right here, you can see we have the, onboarding sessions, the entire typography is changed, the testimonials, right? You can see the call to actions as well as the footer are completely changed. So now if I were to log into the applications and if I were to sign in, here you can see this is what the dashboard look like. So right here, you can see it still looks like what it used to be, but it's just that the entire theme, the typographies, the styles are all changed, right? And you can see that the matchings here are still exist. So pretty much you can see that the style here are consistent throughout the entire application, which is really cool. So in this case, that's pretty much how we can use the front-end design skills in Claude Code to basically give yourself or give your application a complete redesign that's make it much more like a production ready. And I'll make sure to leave the link for this post in the description below so that you can check it out. So the next skill that I want to show you here is the domain name Brainstormer, which will basically help you to find a domain name for your project. So let's say if you have building like a bunch of projects and you're struggling to find the right domain name that's available, that's the best fit for your projects, then this Claude skill here will help you to do so. And here you can see that what this Claude skill does is that basically you provide a instruction saying that help me to find a domain name for this certain projects. And what it does here is that it's going to look through all the domain names online and try to find what are the domain names that are available and what are the domain names that's best fit for our target audience. And also what are the key features that this domain name has, right? And all in all, it will basically try to find the right domain name, and it will help you to rank it to figure out what's the best pick for the domain name for this current projects. For example, this project is good for developer, short and memorable, and also has the .dev extensions, which adds credibility. And most importantly, this domain name is available right now, right? So what we can do here is that I'm just going to download this folder right here, which you can see is called the domain name Brainstormer, which only has the skill.md file. And once I download this, I basically add it onto our projects. So here you can see .claude folder. There, I create a folder called skills. And inside this folder, I create a folder called domain name Brainstormer, which basically I just drag that folder entirely into this skill folder. And I basically restart my Claude session. And now what I can do is that based on this project that I have right now, can you use the domain name Brainstormer skill to basically help me to brainstorm the right domain name for this project? So that's going to be my prompt, and I'm just going to send this request, and right away you can see that Claude here triggers the domain name Brainstormer here to basically trigger the skill and basically generates the relevant domain name suggestions. So in this case, while we wait, let's give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Think. If you're in AI or tech, your work is probably scattered everywhere. GitHub, Papers, LinkedIn, X, maybe YouTube. That's exactly why I started using Think. What Think is. Dink.me is an AI-native digital identity platform built for developers, researchers, and AI talent. It automatically pulls your real achievements from GitHub, Google Scholar, LinkedIn, X, Archive, and more, and turns them into a living, auto-updating AI identity card. This is my Dink profile. Instead of a static resume, everything here updates automatically. New repo, paper, project, or role, it shows up without me touching anything. What's powerful is that Dink doesn't just list links. It understands your work. You can see verified contributions, real collaboration networks through the achievement graph, and how people are actually connected through projects, not cloud. You can browse other members' Think pages, analyze their profiles, and discover like-minded people. Want to collaborate, hire, or build a team? You can DM directly and start real conversations based on actual work. Think feels like what LinkedIn should have become for the AI era. A deeper, more credible identity that actually understands what you do. Think is currently invite only, so if you want to try it, use my invite code below and create your AI native identity here. Links also in the description. Alright, so back to the video now. Here you can see that as a result, this is what the AI generates after Claude Skills has generated using the domain searcher. Here you can see that we have our premium AI domains right here, which are all available, right? And they're all end with .ai extension. There's also the strong .com options, the .io or the tech forward options, and here is the top tech recommendations, and they're all available in this link right here, which shows in real-time results. And you can see that it also concludes the finding of the budget for the .ai, and this is the minimum 2 year of registrations. Pretty much what we can do here from now is just pick the domains that we want and just go with it, right? So pretty much that's how we can use the domain finder skill to find the right domain for our projects. Okay, so the next skill that we're going to show you here is the Stripe skill. This is really important because if you're going to have accepting payment for your applications, then it's really important to keep it consistent for how you're going to integrate your Stripe payments into your application. So right here you can see I have navigated to a very special skill called Stripe skill or Stripe integration skill. Basically, it's going to master the Stripe payment processing. We can actually be able to create a skill and have our AI here, have Claude here to implement the Stripe payment consistently. So for example, creating a checkout session, right? Creating a one-time payment or creating a custom payment flow. You can see that this documentation or this Claude skill here has already created this thing automatically, right? So all we had to do here, just tell it to implement this inside of our applications and it should be able to implement it in the right way. So in our case, basically, we're just going to navigate to the Stripe integration here. You can see that we only have one file in this folder, which is the skill.md file. And I'm just going to download this folder right here, navigate back to Claude code. In this case, I'm just going to drag the skill into this skill folder. And right here, I'm just going to restart my Claude session. And here, I'm just going to say, based on the application right now, please use the Stripe integration skill to integrate our Stripe payment inside of our application. Okay, so then here is our prompt. So I'm just going to switch to plan mode and basically have Claude here to use the Stripe integration skill to build our Stripe integration. And then here I'm just going to run this. All right, so right now you can see it's first going to analyze the application here and try to explore the clear understanding of the application. Here is the summary. So here you can see that we did not implement the payment processing. We did not implement the subscription management. And here you can see that there's the recommended payment structure. So right here, based on the existing pricing page, here is what it recommends. So we have our starter plan, which is no payment required. There's the growth plan, which is most popular, and it has the 14-day free trial. There's also the pro plan, which is the $39 per month, and it also includes the 14 days free trial. So here you can see what it does here is that it's going to analyze the application, create a plan, and before it do so, it's going to ask me some serious questions to clarify the intent. So it says that you want to offer a 14 days free trial for the growth and the pro plan. Here I'm just going to say yes for the 7 days free trial instead. And here's asking us if you have the Stripe API keys. I'm just going to say yes, I do. And then here, what are the planned changes? Should be able to upgrade or downgrade. And yes, I'm just going to say allow that. And basically you can see these are the answers that I have. I'm just going to submit the answer here. And of course, if you ever wonder where you can be able to get the API keys, you can navigate to your Stripe dashboard. And here there is a developer. So if you click on developer, there's API keys. And here you can see that we have our publishable keys and also secret keys. So we're going to need those twos inside of our .env.local file to call the right Stripe account to get a payment, right? So in this case, once you get your publish key and your secret key, you can literally add this into your .env file and then be able to use it eventually. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is that I'm just gonna come back to Claude Code, and here you can see that's the entire plan for our Bookkeeper Pro application, right? So here is the current stack, the payment structure, the plan for the management, as well as the gating tier. So for example, like the starter plan, you get the unlimited receipt scanning, great. The categorizations, also the CSV export, which is perfect. But what you don't get is you don't get the bank reconciliations, the automated invoicing, and also tax optimizations, right? So you don't get those things for the starter plan, but growth plan you do. There's also the database setup. So for example, so here you can see it's also gonna set up the database table for the subscriptions and also subscription plan, as well as the Stripe configurations, the backend API routes, endpoints, as well as the front integrations, the webhooks. And if you were to scroll all the way down, you can see here that it's going to use the Stripe integration skill to implement the checkout, the customer portal, the webhook handlers, the database schema for the subscription tracking, and also the feature gating middleware. So this is not something that Claude Code knows by itself. This is going to be something that it calls our skill that we created and be able to implement this entirely. Okay. So in this case, I'm just going to say yes and bypass all permission, and it's going to design everything completely by itself. Okay. So in this case, let's wait for a bit while it's doing that. Okay, so as a result, you can see that the Stripe integration here has fully complete. And now you can see that we have 3 tiers: starter, growth, and also the pro tier. So now if I were to navigate to the .env.example file, here you can see that we have 5 environment variables that's created for this application. So we have our publish key, as well as the secret key, the webhook secret, as well as the pricing ID for the growth and also the pro plan, right? So you can see that we can simply just gonna get these things inside of our dashboard in our Stripe. Then we can be able to add this in inside of our .env.local file, and we can be able to use it. So in this case, I'm just gonna fill this in inside my .env.local file and navigate it to our applications and try to log in and try to see if the payment gateway is fully set up. And then now if I were to navigate to our application here, if I were to choose a plan, for example, I'm just gonna choose the growth plan. If I were to click on start on this plan, and here you can see that it navigates us to the checking page. And right here, you can see that currently I created a sandbox environment so they can be able to process it using a test account. So right here, you can see that we have our bookkeepers growth plan, 7 days free trial. And after that, it's going to be $19 per month starting January 3rd. And all I have to do here is simply just enter the cart informations with the tested cart. And now if I were to click on start a free trial, it's going to process this. And now you can see that the test payment here has went successful. And if I were to click on the settings here, and currently you can see that we're using the growth tier, which is costing $19 per month. So pretty much that's how we can use the Stripe integrations class skill to guide the AI here to basically build our payment system for our application. All right, so the last skill we're going to take a look at for this entire video here is going to be the skill creator. And this skill here helps us to create class skills for our entire projects. And to use this skill, basically we just provide instructions on what kind of skill we want to create. And it's going to trigger this skill creator to basically help us to create a skill. And to do so, I basically have Claude here do a research on exactly what's the best way to review code. Because for my day-to-day workflow, I have to review tons of code from different projects, right? And I have to give a lot of feedback to people. So that's why I want to create this skill that I can be able to delegate this work to AI, that can have AI here to create a consistent feedback based on different projects that we encounter. So right here, you can see that there are different things that we're going to have AI here to do deep research on what's the best way for technical review here, what's the best practice for, especially for Nest.js architecture patterns, as well as React and TypeScript projects, as well as what's the multi-perspective review, right? Especially for higher level, like senior developers or staff engineers, you're not just reviewing just the technical side of things. You also have to review the system based on different roles. For example, like an architect, product manager, QA, or user experience overall, try to evaluate the code base to see if it actually solved that business problem, right? And also, what is the code review methodologies, right? Make sure that if we want to use top-down approach, time allocation strategies, we're also doing the documentation review. And also making sure that we stand on the product and the user experience perspective, try to make sure that the product here is focusing on the customer first thinking, right? Making sure that customer is actually able to use this product and is able to solve the problem that they're facing. And also, what does the mobile experience look like? What is the usability, right? So basically it's gonna do a deep research on this, simply just going to use the deep research right here in the Claude, and it'll basically automatically help you to look through like tons of research. You can see that it's gonna look through like 432 sources online and try to conduct this entire research and conclude it into a one single MD file, right? And what I'm gonna do now is I'm just going to open a Claude session. I'm just gonna reference the research.md file, which is the one that we just done for the research from Claude. And then I'm just going to say that please use the skill creator skill to basically create a skill based on this research that we have done. And then here's basically my prompt. So I'm just going to send this to Claude and let Claude here to basically handle this, trigger the skill creator skill. And here you can see that's going to use the skill creator skill to basically build a comprehensive code review skill based on the research document that we have provided. So right here, you can see that's triggering the skill creator, reading the research.md file, and eventually you can see that it creates the skill creator skill inside of our skills folder right here. So you can see that we have our skill.md file. We also have a couple of references on the Nest.js patterns, the perspective, the report templates, and all those kind of things, okay? So all we can do now is that if we want to review this, we can actually be able to open this doc, and here you can see that this is the Nest.js code review skill. And basically this is when to use the skill, right? This is basically telling AI what are times when we're gonna trigger the skill. For example, reviewing the Nest.js pull request, or if there's code changes, and also for the existing code base for quality, security, and performance. And then in terms of our review, there's different phases. We have architecture review, so that's gonna be the first step. Things like checking out the overall design, identify if there's any blocking issues. And then also there's the file structure review, try to validate the organizations, the naming conventions, and also the expected structure. After that's done, we also have our detailed component review. This is going to be more like reviewing line by line and try to stand on all 6 expert perspectives, like senior developers, system architect, there's also PMs, and also the user QA engineer, and also the business analyst. Okay, so pretty much this is the phase 3. And after all is done, we're going to create a documentation review. And then at the end, it's going to generate a review report that's very similar to like this, where it's going to mention what are the findings, what are the issues that I found, and whether or not this code base or this pull request is approved. So pretty much you can see that this is the entire skill that we have created. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open a Claude session, and I'm just going to say using the Nest.js code review skill, and please help me to review the entire code base for this application. And basically this is my prompts, and I'm just going to submit this to Claude. And hopefully Claude will basically trigger the Nest.js code review skill, which you can see is asking if you want to proceed with the Nest.js code review skill. I'm just going to say yes. And then it's going to read through the entire Nest.js code review skills and try to understand how it's going to review this 4-phase methodologies, right? So right here, you can see it's going to be doing phase 1 for architecture review. So in this case, pretty much that's how we can be able to use the Claude skill creator here to create a new skill inside of Claude. So pretty much that's what we have covered in this video. We covered why we should use Claude skills, what are the 3 reasons, and how does it work behind the scenes, as well as my top 4 Claude skills that you can use to boost your productivities using Claude. So pretty much that's it for this video. And if you do find this video, please make sure to like this video, consider subscribing for more content like this. But with that being said, I'll see you in the next video.